Hi, guitar time. I'm Robert Noah. Well, we're going to look at type 2 bar chords. If you looked at the previous video and worked on your type 1 bar chord, these are type 2 bar chords. When I say type 2, I mean that the root will be on your 5th string, your A string. Your type 1 bar chords were the root on the 6th string, on the E string. So if you have the PDF sheet that I have on bar chords, you'll start to notice I have type 1 Roman numeral and type 2. And the type 2, the first chord we're going to look at would be, I would like to look at a D chord. And I'm on the the 5th fret, and you have markers, you go to your 5th fret. On the A string, we have 5th fret, first finger is your D. So what we want to do is, this is going to be a bar chord type. You're going to have your first finger on that D, but the bar is really going to be with your 3rd finger, because your 3rd finger is going to bar the 7th fret from the 4th string, the 3rd string, G string, the B string. That's what we're caring about. We're caring about 4 notes, 4 strings. So if I have that bar down, I put that 3rd finger down first, maybe, on the 7th fret, and I'm able to get from the D string to the B string, those 3 notes. You hear that? And now I'm going to add the first finger on the D. So you can kind of lay your index finger down. Doesn't have to be on the tip, but you kind of lay it on the side because it's kind of barred too. And you actually are going to bar this finger. But for the major chord, the D chord, that's what we've got. If I was to play the last note bar on the top, that would be what we call an A. We're adding the B on there, so that would be a D6, all right? So going back to the bar, so there we have our D major chord, and it's movable. Move it down to the 3rd fret, I got a C chord, 4 note. I've got a 4 note B chord, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D. If I go 2 frets up, I've got an E. I could actually put in the open E and have a nice 5 note chord here, E chord. That's only because I have the open E. Or I can just play it from the E. F, E, F. F is the 8th fret. G chord on the 10th. A chord on the 12th fret. So it's always good to check, make sure you've got those notes coming out good. Your baby finger shouldn't be hiding out down there. It should be up ready to do something. And I'm really pressing back here. My thumb isn't up here. My thumb's kind of in the middle, centered, but it's adding some support, some pressing power too. Because we do have to press. We have to have some muscle power to bring these chords in. So the next chord you're going to look at beyond the major chord is the minor chord. And the minor chord was like that when we did the F chord. You had these 3 fingers here, 3, 2, or 3, 4, 2, kind of like an A minor form, but with the wrong fingers. We're going to take those same fingers and we're going to do 3, 4, 2, but on the D string, and the G string, and the B string, 3, 4, 2. Remember, your 4th finger has to be hugging the fret, as well as your 2nd finger. And then we bar 5 strings. We don't want to bar 6 strings. We want to bar 5 strings because this is a 5 note bar chord. I am playing a D minor chord now. Here was my major. We worked on that. That's the middle 4 strings. But when I do the minor, now I can actually strum 5 strings. Okay, so I'm changing this 1 note, which is the major 3rd, to the minor 3rd. From this to this. D minor type 2, and it's movable. D minor, E minor, F minor, G minor, F minor, minor, D minor, C minor, B minor, and B flat minor, first fret. And if I took those fingers and I took off the bar and went down to A minor, I would have an A minor chord, but possibly with the wrong fingers because you learned it 2, 3, 1. And that's the way we usually play B minor, or A minor. There's your A minor. But if we're doing bar chords, we have to have the fingers as 3, 4, 2. So there's your D minor. If we were to take off the baby finger, we have D minor 7. So D minor 7 is a movable chord too. B minor 7, C minor 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F, G. So just by taking off the fourth finger and just having the third finger, we're barring. So where our fourth finger was is being sounded now. Second finger, 1, 3, 1. Gotta make sure that comes out, right? You don't want that to be a dead note. And then the second finger, and then the barred first finger. If I added my baby finger up here on the 8th fret, I would have another D minor 7, and that's what we call the added D minor 7. D minor 7, add a 7. Take it off, add it. So D minor 7. If I was to take off the second finger, I would have a D minor 9. Minor 7. So we get a lot of variations off of this. Now, we've got D minor 7, added 7, minor 9. If I went back to that, let's say I did back to the D chord, the major chord. You hear the big difference between minor and major. And I was to take that 1, 3, 3, 3 and add my fourth finger on the B string on the 8th fret, I get what's called the D suspended fourth, D sus, S-U-S. So you hear this a lot. Rolling Stones were famous for these chords, the sus chords. The Who, a lot of bands of the 60s, the sus chord. C, sus, and then B. So I'm going from the sus to the major chord. So I've discussed a little bit about type 1 and type 2 bar chords. I think I'll give you maybe one more here. We go to that minor chord. We got the major, we got the minor. What if we kept the third finger where it is, but we took the fourth finger and put it down on the B string and moved the second finger up to the G string? So my notes now, I've got a D note with my index finger, 1. My third finger's playing an A. My second finger's playing the 6th fret, that would be a C sharp. My baby finger is playing an F sharp, that's the 7th fret on the B string. And then I've got my first finger barred for the A on the 5th fret. So I get this major 7, one of the most prettiest chords. D major 7. Here's a D chord. Here's a D major 7. And if I was to take off my second finger, I would get what's called just a D7. We call that a dominant 7. So we've got two kinds of 7 chords. Major 7, take off the second finger, and we got a plain dominant 7, D dominant. So if I went down to C, major 7, take off the second finger, I got C7, B7, B major 7. Major 7's a real mellow sound, real pretty sound. C7's kind of solid, kind of spunky, serious, 7th chord. You can play a C7 open, C7 bar chord, a C7 type 1 bar chord, added 7, type 2 7, open 7. You're learning all kinds of chords. So this was kind of an introductory to bar chords because they're really important. You've got to know them. And if you download my charts, there are charts on bar chords, and use them to study from. And you have to be consistent. You have to just keep working on them. You don't give up. Your fingers get stronger, and you get to strum, and you've got to always check your bar chords. Make sure the notes are coming out, that your technique's getting better, that you're able to get the power and the placement that you need to pull these chords off. And it will come eventually. It doesn't happen usually overnight. Maybe not a week, maybe not a couple of weeks, maybe a month or a couple of months or a few months till you start getting these techniques and skills, and the strength starts happening if you're a beginning student. But if you're already a player and you already have strength, well, I'm asking you to use good finger placement and to care about how your fingers are playing. That's really, really important, okay? And let's not forget about being mindful about a lot of things. We're multitasking. We're caring about left hand and right hand. And that's what makes good guitar players, that we're able to multitask and be mindful of so many things. We learn to do this. And then it just becomes natural for us to be mindful and to care about all these things and make them happen. I had a vocal teacher, used to write it on my book sometime, make it happen. And I understand that now. You can make it happen. You have to work on it, though. Make it happen, right? All right. So let's continue on with the next videos and learning to use bar chords. And now you know that type 1 bar chords are with the root on the 6th string. Type 2 bar chords are with the root on the 5th string or A string. If we did a type 3 bar chord, I would say that would be the root on the D string. But we'll do those later, okay? All right, for guitar time, good luck and hang in there. And be mindful. Go on adventures, chord adventures, strumming adventures, bar chord adventures. And you will make discoveries from adventures. I like to use those words. The psychology works. You'll see.